طيب تفضل أبو حسام.
No. What's the ruling on kissing your spouse while fasting? Is it a break the fast? Is it a dislike?
The question is, what's the ruling on kissing your spouse while you're fasting? Does it break the fast? Is it disliked? So on and so forth. It doesn't break the fast, bismillah. It does not break the fast. It is going to be disliked if it leads you to losing self-control. Alaikum salam. If it leads you to losing control. And when you kiss your wife or your wife kisses you and you don't have the ability to control your thoughts, your actions, etc., then it's problematic. As far as if you have the control, you give your wife a kiss, you go out to work in the morning, love you, salam alaikum, that best. There's nothing wrong with that. Inshallah ta'ala, there's nothing wrong with that. Wallahu a'lam. And obviously there are levels of kisses, huh? Giving your wife a normal kiss is not like what? A French kiss or a German kiss or an Italian kiss. What other type of kiss is reality. It's reality. Wallahu a'lam. Wa yakum.
Qasim Mohammed from Bristol, UK. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Ramadan Mubarak. In my local area, there are many Muslim children in the care of the city council who need fostering or adoption. They are specifically looking for Muslims and mixed race couples. Many get fostered to Kafir families. Is it permissible to foster them, and what advice could you give some concerning this?
With regards to foster children, adopting children, in the UK, they're looking for Muslims, mixed racial, interracial families, etc. If the child is going to be lost and wasted and abandoned and sent to the non-Muslims, you taking the child in your home, it's a good deed. The child being your son, different story. The child having all of the rulings in Islam as the actual blood son from the loins, different set of rulings. But any child who needs care, attention, needs to be maintained, and you have the ability to do so, it's a righteous deed. Only Allah knows what can happen with that child, how you raise that child. You see what I'm saying to you? Instead of them being sent to Christians or atheists or Allah Alam what they may be sent to. You understand this? But that doesn't mean that the child is now your what? Blood child. That's a different ruling. You understand this? So if you have the ability to do some good for the child, and Allah has provided you, and you take that responsibility upon yourself, may Allah reward you for that. I mean, Wallahu Alam.
Initials NB from Toronto. If a sister can lead herself in the night prayer and she feels this will give her more khushu', should she stay home and miss out on the reward of praying with the imam?
Question is from where?
Toronto, Canada.
Questions from Canada. Toronto, sister making salat at home by herself. And she wants to make the tarawih by herself. She feels that it gives her better khushu'. Should she stay home or should she go to the masjid? Alhamdulillah, you have to do what benefits your soul. You have to do what makes the most sense to you. You have to do what you feel closer to Allah therewith. Whether it's in a place or out of a place. Okay? If the location is not mandatory for you to be there, then you prioritize. I don't have to be at this masjid, and I feel more concentrated, I feel better, I feel more submissive in this place. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Many ulama, they say that it's best for a woman to pray in her home instead of the masjid. That's first and foremost. We all know that. Those rulings, according to what those ulama say, that a woman should pray in her house instead of the masjid. Even though it's not haram or disliked for her to what? Come to the masjid. What's important is the feeling. And there's some women who have the exact opposite feeling. They feel that they're always in the house. And they feel trapped and pent in the house, and they come to the masjid. They hear the class. They hear the imam recite the Quran better. They meet with the other sisters. They feel higher. Their iman feels higher. So it's based off of what? Personal preference and personal prioritizing, with the condition that the presence is not mandatory, as I said. A brother can't say that. I have more khushu' at my house, so I'm going to pray in my house. But you live within the vicinity of the masjid. No, you don't have an option anymore. You can make the nafilah in your house. You can make the tarawih in your house. Tayyib. But the isha, the fajr, the dhuhr, the asr, and you live in the vicinity of the masjid, that's a different story. But if your presence is not required legislatively, then that's your what? That's your personal preference. And it's from the fiqh of the slave to know where he or she feels closer to Allah at. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not always about formalities. Oh, be with the brothers. I may feel better about myself. I get around these people, I feel lost. By myself, I feel what? Better. But don't cut yourself off from the sisters, even if it's a few sisters. It don't have to be all the sisters, every sister at the masjid. Have some type of company in the month of Ramadan. Huh? Wallahu alam.
Next question from Sydney, Australia, initials MJ. Is it accurate to say Sheikh Albani was lenient in his grading and authenticity of a hadith?
Question comes from Sydney, Australia. Is it accurate to say that Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah was lenient, mutasahil, in his grading of hadiths? That's relative. That's relative. Lenient, soft, hard, harsh is relative. Unless it is something which is based off of consensus. All of the ulama of hadith agreed that Imam Fulan kana min al-mutasahilin. Okay? So if there's no consensus, then it's going to be relative. It's going to be relative. Now the question came to us, FYI, we shouldn't have to, but unfortunately it is reality for someone to say we're slandering Sheikh Al-Albani, we're talking about Sheikh Al-Albani, we're saying that we're more knowledgeable than Sheikh Al-Albani, we're disrespecting Sheikh Al-Albani, we're accusing the ulama, etc. Wallahi alhamd, none of that is on the table of what? Discussion. Wallahi alhamd, okay? That's first and foremost. But unfortunately, these slanderous claims are realities. They'll say that, you explain it, I benefited from Sheikh Albani's book, this is what other, they'll still say the same thing. All right? At the end of the day, there are many people who have criticized Sheikh Albani. Many researchers and scholars on many different issues. Okay? And from those issues that they've criticized him over is his ahkam on ahadith. Theoretically and practically. Masail nadariya, issues pertaining to theory. Sheikh Albani says in his book, Ziyadatu thiqa maqbula, so on and so on and so forth. This issue of theory. He makes it a qaida. Hadith hasan li ghayrihi, mathalan. Everyone understand this? Mutaba'at, shawahid. Alright? And then there are others who've criticized him as well on actual practical things. In this hadith specifically, Sheikh Albani, we say, he made a mistake. That's wrong. This person is majhul. This is shad. This is munkar. So on and so forth, etc. etc. So at the end of the day, there are people who have criticized Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah with regards to these issues of tahseen and tasheeh and mutaba'at and shawad and ila akhirih. So if you're a researcher of hadith, even if you're a student of knowledge, and you've come across that speech and you've read the kalam and you feel that way, Sheikh Al-Albani was mutasahil, then that's your view. And there's nothing wrong with having that what? That view, based off of research and ilm. And if you're a researcher and you feel that that's not the case, and he wasn't mutasahil, he was mujtahid, likulli jawadin kabwa, every thoroughbred misses a gallop, as they say. Every racehorse misses a skip, misses a step, and you don't feel that's true, then that's your what? That's your view. But the problem lies in the ta'assub, the bigotry. And the problem lies in rejecting the service, either sides of extremism. A bigot, in which a person says with his tongue or with his actions, Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah can do no wrong whatsoever. That's wrong. Whether they say it with their tongue or their what? Or their actions. And then those on the other side of extremism who give no status and no respect to Sheikh Al-Albani rahimahullah and what he did for Islam and for the Muslims and what he did for hadith and the sciences of hadith. Rather, there's a what? There's a balance. And that balance is based off of knowledge. What have you read yourself from Sheikh Al-Albani? What have you studied and researched? How much ilm al-hadith have you come across? But to answer the question, frankly, many people have made this what? They've made this statement and they have their what? Their proofs and evidences. Do other ulama agree with them? Not necessarily. But is what? Is an actual mas'ala of bahth among the people of hadith, from the scholars and the tulab of hadith with regards to these issues. May Allah Azza wa Jalla be pleased with Sheikh Al-Albani. Allah have mercy upon him, forgive him of his sins, and reward him on our behalf. I mean, the bottom line is, as we've just said, and this is what Sheikh Al-Albani himself used to say, Inna li kulli jawab, or inna li kulli jawadin kabwa. Inna li kulli farasin kabwa. Every thoroughbred does what? Misses a gallop. And it's a what? A thoroughbred. But it misses what? Some more than others. No one is perfect. And the concept, we've mentioned this many, many times before, of the filthy bigotry that the people have today for personalities and scholars and students of knowledge has nothing to do with the way of the Salaf al-Salih and Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The filthy ta'assub that they have for people and the hatred that they have for others that are outside of their circle, in which they have no virtue, no good, nothing can be done properly and correctly, is not the way of the what? The Salaf as-Salih. Nihayyan, huh? That they're free from that. And that's not the way of the people of knowledge, to be bigots. We've mentioned this many times before. How many times did the Tirmidhi disagree with what? Bukhari. Bukhari was his teacher, his friend, who was more knowledgeable than him, but he what? He differed with him. Imam Muslim differed with Imam al-Bukhari. Bukhari was his friend, his teacher, and he did what? He differed with him. So if it's done with respect, and if it's done based off of science, ilm, and the person is qualified for that, then Shaykh al-Albani himself used to what? Promote scientific criticism for people that were qualified and people that were dealing with actual ilm. Wallahu alam.
This question from Toronto, Canada, initials NH. Assalamu alaikum. Can I send salat to the Prophet after entering my home and reciting the dua? Would this be bid'ah? I don't have anyone to give the salam to when I get home.
When you enter your home, can you say sallallahu alaihi wasallam, send salutations to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? There's no one there. I have no one to speak to. Is it a bid'ah if I do so? Enter your house and make the legislative supplications. Make the supplications that are mentioned in the authentic hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whatever he told you to say, that's what you should say. Nothing more and nothing less. Nothing more and what? Nothing less. Just because there's no one there doesn't mean there's no one that you can give salams to. Allah alam, who's in your house? Of angels, of jinn, of shayateen, Allahu alam. Allahu alam. What's important is you give the salutations of the based off of the what? Al-adhkar al-warida. The supplications that are mentioned in the hadiths. That's more than enough for you to do. Wallahu alam. And if you said it once, if you did it, it's not a bid'ah. If you keep doing it each and every single time, and you believe in that is the sunnah, and that's the practice, and it's a reward, then that's obviously going to be leading you to bid'ah. Okay? Wallahu alam.
Next question. Assalamu alaikum, Shaykh. Initials IR from Suffolk County, New York. Which du'as are authentic for breaking fast? And then he mentions the thirst has gone and the veins he didn't word it properly.
Right. Question from Suffolk County, New York. What du'as, what supplications are authentic when you break the fast? Make du'a to Allah before you break the fast. The hadith to explain that he who's fasting, inshallah his du'a will not be rejected. Make the du'as up until it's time for iftar. When the iftar time comes, you say Bismillah. If you want to say that du'a, okay, and which you mentioned, ذهب الظمأ وابتلت العروق وتم الأجر إن شاء الله. If you want to make that du'a, فحسن. If you don't want to make that du'a, if you consider that hadith to be da'if and weak, then stay away from it. Wallahu alam.
Next question from Columbus, Ohio, initials AK.
You make general du'a. If that hadith is da'if, you make general du'a. Allah accept it from me. Allah bless us. Allah allow us to have this food. La ba's. Al-Muhim, is there rules with regards to adhkar? And with regards to adhkar based off of hadiths, which there's what? Discrepancy. Is it sahih or not? Allahu alam. Faddal.
Initials AK from Columbus, Ohio. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. I'm having trouble staying up after Fajr. Which is the best time for me to learn Quran, etc.? Any advice?
Question from Columbus, Ohio. Having a hard time staying up after Salat al-Fajr. Which is the best time for you to study. What do you mean? Staying up after Fajr in Ramadan or in general?
Next question. Initials KZ from London, UK. What's the ruling on putting your hands on your chest after you come up from ruku?
Question from what city?
London, UK.
London. Putting your hands on your chest after ruku. La ba's, la haraj. If you want to do it, do it. If you put your hands back to your side, that's fine as well. Both are permissible. Both are valid, inshallah ta'ala. Wallahu alam.
Next question from London, UK. Initials AC. What are the conditions for debating Ahlul Bid'ah?
Questions from London. What are the conditions for debating Ahlul Bid'ah? There are conditions for debating anyone, not just Ahlul Bid'ah. Okay? Anybody. First and foremost, al-ikhlas. You got to be sincere. Okay? Second of all, you got to know what you're talking about. Are you qualified to have this debate? Thirdly, you have to have a purpose and a reason behind the debate. What's the purpose of it? Are you trying to get to a point? Are you trying to warn from someone? Are you trying to show the crowd that this person is evil and misguided, but they have a strong following, and you want to prove to them that they're misguided with ilm? Huh? You're trying to call them and bring them back? There has to be a qasd, has to be an objective behind the what? The debate. Whether it's with Ahlul Bid'ah or with what anyone else. Someone could be a mukhti, he could be mistaken about an issue. He doesn't have to be an innovator. Someone could be an innovator. Someone could be a follower of a person of innovation, etc. Debating someone in general. Ala kulli hal, at the end of the day, we've done this many times, alhamdulillah, we've spoken this many times about the mass confusion, the widespread confusion in 2019 with regards to the way of the pious predecessors. What is the madhab of the Salaf? What is the way of Ahlul Sunnah, Ahlul Hadith? Is it what this group is propagating? What this sheikh is saying? Is it talking about this person? Is it being like this? Is it going here? Is it studying here? It's mass confusion. And there lies, no doubt, is that there are things which people have added to the way of the Salaf which are foreign. And there are things which were from the way of the Salaf, but the people have exaggerated, or they've made a warped and twisted understanding. Huh? And there are other things from the way of the Salaf that the people have left off and abandoned. And from that is seeking knowledge. That's from the madhab of the Salaf. So if a person is a deviant for going to this masjid or debating with this person because that wasn't from the way of the Salaf, then you're a deviant for not seeking knowledge. Fair? If it's just mathematic, 1 + 1 is 2. If a person does this, which is not from the Salaf never said with Ahlul Bid'ah, so you're not Salafi. Tayyib, no problem. And you're also not Salafi because you've done what? You give dawah, you give classes, you write books, and you haven't done what? Studied anywhere. So you've abandoned something which is from their practice and something that they were harsh against. So therefore, hypothetically speaking, you're now a what? A deviant. You're not Salafi. All right? So people have become confused. And one of the reasons why so much confusion, there's several reasons. One reason, people who aren't qualified talking about these issues. If we have 20 people in the room fighting and arguing, I guarantee probably 15 of them shouldn't even be in the room. Just think about this equation now. 20 people, 20 different voices. If you take 15 people out the room, it's only 5 people who actually are qualified to talk about it. And obviously it's easier to reach a solution with 5 instead of 20. So this is a big problem. People who aren't qualified. Then, of course, we have the concept of what is your intention? What is my intention by speaking? What is my intention? To control people, to run people, to get money, to get fame, to get popularity, to feel my anger, my envy, my jealousy? Or is it for the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We all have to check our intentions. Everyone understand this? And then we have modern day things, new things that were added that didn't exist 20 years ago, 50 years ago, let alone 1,000, 1,200, 13 years ago. Salaf never said this, they never forced people to do that, and they never so on and so forth. It's a problem. So the concept of debating, can you debate someone? What does the Quran say about debating? What does the Prophet say about debating? What did the Sahaba themselves do regarding debating? Did they debate innovators or didn't they? You can only know that unless you have what? Knowledge. And for every effort that you find, this person saying don't debate, you'll find another effort in which this person, what? Had munaqasha or munadhara. Last but not least, the last thing I'll say with regards to this is, if you're scared of losing and being embarrassed, just say that. Don't hide behind, oh, they never debated Ahlul Bid'ah. Nor did they keep talking about them and speaking about them, and they were obsessed and infatuated with the people of innovations. If you're scared, then just say that. That's all you gotta say. You're scared to lose. You're scared that you don't have the ability to prove your point in person, not behind a PDF, not in front of a computer with 10 people helping you out, running through tapes and recordings, let's find this, let's find that. If you're scared, then just say that. And if you're not scared, then you are going to remove yourself from the people of deviation. We're not going to talk about him. We're not going to write about him. We're just going to totally avoid him. But you can't just pick and choose which one you want to do. Everyone understand this? I remember in 2002, and I was caught in the fitna myself in 2002. I was in the fitna, okay? I was young. Sitting with Sheikh Abdul Salam Abad, they asked him, the question, I remember this vividly tonight. They asked him about Sheikh Rabi' and Abu Hassan al-Ma'ribi and Ali Halabi and Usama Qusi and Salim Hilali, these people like this. They asked him, are they innovators? Is Sheikh Rabi' right? Is Abu Hassan al-Ma'ribi, is he mubtadi or not? And the Sheikh, he gave his well-known answer, which you already know what he said. And he said that these issues are based off of personal issues. Ahwaf al-nufus, his exact words were. كلها مبنية على أهواء النفوس. Personal issues. I was shocked when he said this. I'm like, Sheikh, how can you say this? What do you mean? He said this. Then, a couple nights later, they asked him another question similar to this. Is this the way of the ulama? Is this the way of the salaf al-salih? The tajreeh and the tabdi', innovator, your deviant, hajar, blah, 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 blah. He said from the dalil that this is not the correct way, is it was foreign to the Shaykhain, bin Baz and Uthaymeen. And then he made an example of this. He says once Shaykh bin Baz, rahimahullah, it was a guy who was an Ash'ari, and he wrote a book, and he was distorting the sifat, and he was talking about these things. Shaykh bin Baz gave him nasiha. And he clarified to him some mistakes that he made concerning Allah's attributes. And then obviously, the guy, he didn't take the advice. The Shaykh, he wrote him a second time, so on and so forth, that's wrong, keva. He says, and that was it. Shaykh bin Baz didn't bother him anymore. He didn't write him again. He didn't say anything about him. So Shaykh Abdul Muhsin, he said that from the things which prove that this is wrong, what's going on today is how the people are obsessed and infatuated. And they keep talking about the same person over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. He said that proves that it's what? That it's not right. Because if a person is clearly misguided, they're wrong, they're mistaken, you warn from them, you refute them, and then that's what? Khalas, keep it moving. You see what I'm saying to you? So you can't say, well, we don't debate with Ahlul Bidah. That's why we're not going to debate with you, but we'll keep talking about you on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. Something's wrong now. Okay? So if you have the ability to debate, if you have the qualifications to debate, if there's a need to debate, then what? Do so. If you don't have the qualifications, there is no need, or it's a danger, or it's a harm, or you feel like that is of no benefit, they just want to argue with you, and then what? Stay away from it. And if you take the stance that you don't debate with Ahlul Bidah, then the same applies to Jews and Christians and anyone else of what? Misguidance. Everyone understand this? So the hypocrisy, unfortunately, is very strong. As I said, they don't have double standards, but they have triple standards. They make up rules that suit them. They take the athar that suits them and leave off one that doesn't suit them. Everyone understand this? They literally accept and discard an alim at their will, without any exaggeration. The moment this alim goes against our agenda, he's now what? Useless. So if he made a mistake, or he's wrong, or he was warned against, is he still not a what? Alim? There's no respect for him? So, Yani, where do you begin with these people's hypocrisy and their triple standard, let alone the fact that all we asked you for was to just show us your qualifications. That's it. Once you prove that, then we can start debating and discussing. If you can't prove that, there's nothing else to say. Wallahu a'lam.
Next question, initials YA from Atlanta, Georgia. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Are my debts before Islam forgiven by Allah? Am I still responsible for paying them? Most of these debts were charged off and or sold to third-party debt collectors.
Right. What time is it then? So we're going to stop here, bidnillah. And hopefully tomorrow we'll start at 6:30 p.m. sharp. Inshallah ta'ala. Our class schedule for the month of Ramadan will be Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. On Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there'll be other students of knowledge, walillahi alhamd, giving classes and reminders, whether it's Brother Khalid or Brother Abdul Raqib or others who want to give beneficial talks and answer the questions of the people on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, before the iftar. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. We'll try our best to answer your question in the next session. Jazakumullah khairan.